Hello and welcome to Movement Mondays. I'm Alex Weaver. For today's class, all you need is water, a yoga mat or a towel or something you can do exercises on, a sturdy chair or something that you can sit or put your weight onto. And then last but not least, if you have a book, you can use a book, or if you have a yoga block. So ideally something that, it doesn't have to be this thick, but probably no thicker than this. And it's big enough that you can put your hand on it. And you just need one. So what I would recommend is maybe like a hardcover book, a larger book. And you won't need that till our second circuit today. But so like I said, I'm Alex Weaver. I'm going to just double check that the stream is up, and then we'll get started here in a few. All right. So those of you who are just joining for today's class, all you're going to need is a yoga mat or towel, something to do exercises on, and a book or a yoga block. So something you don't want it to be super thick, but something you can fit your whole hand on and put your weight on. And then also a sturdy chair. So we are going to get started with the warm-up. As always, if you have questions, you need me to repeat something, drop a comment on the Thunderwell stream. If you are watching this stream from the Alien Athletes page or elsewhere, just make sure that you're commenting on the actual stream, the original video, or else I won't see your comment. So, okay, so let's get started. We are going to start with a set of 5 walkouts. So, standing nice and tall, you're going to walk your hands out into the plank position and then all the way back. I'm just going to start my timer. Great. So in between each rep, make sure you're standing up nice and tall. And I think this is the 5th one. Great. Okay, so we're going to come back out into that plank position. And we are going to bring one leg forward, just like this, and then open up toward that leg and switch sides. So we're going to switch back and forth a few times. All right, so you can actually come into a kneeling position. We're going to do a set of cat-cows. So on your hands and knees, you are inhaling up into your spine, exhaling down, allowing your chest to drop towards the floor. Inhaling and exhaling. And great. So I'm going to rotate just so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So staying in your hands and knees, you're going to take one hand, bring it behind your head, slowly come in, and then open up away. So do 5 per side. And switch sides. Great. All right. So we're going to stand. And we're going to sit into a deep squat position. So feet at least hip width apart, maybe a little wider. It's okay if you can't sit as deep into the squat as I can. So you're going to sit back, grab your toes, just use your elbows to push your knees out. Try to keep your chest up. You can kind of shift your weight back and forth just a little bit. And then come on up into a hamstring stretch. Just hang out a little bit. It's okay if you can't touch your toes. And then sit back into that deep squat. Use your elbows to push those knees out. And then coming up one more time into that hamstring stretch. We're going to slowly roll all the way up. And we're actually going to do a hip flexor stretch. So for this kneeling hip flexor stretch, we're not going to hold for a very long time. We're going to switch sides. So we're just standing. Actually, I didn't use the kneeling. So you're going to start forward, push your hips forward. You should be able to stretch in the front of your back leg. So a few deep breaths, driving the hips forward as far as you can, and then coming back. So slowly moving into that stretch, holding for a few seconds, and then coming back. And switch sides, same thing. Go ahead and stand up. So we're going to do a quad stretch as well. You can grab onto the wall or something that you can hold on to for balance. And you're going to pull your legs straight back. And switch sides. So while we are stretching here, shout out to my mom for buying me this awesome new countdown timer and clock for the gym for my birthday. I just want to warn everyone that I'm going to try using it today instead of my watch. So you may hear some loud beeping instead of me just telling you when things end. It might be jarring. This is my first time really using it to coach class, so we'll see how it goes. But so just warning, I know there's not usually like loud sounds or anything during this class, but there might be some beeping today. So just warning, putting it out there. Okay, so last couple things. Let's do a calf stretch. So we're actually going to go into downward dog. So start in plank position, press back so you're coming into downward dog, and then you can kind of bring one leg behind and drive your heel into the floor to get that calf stretch. Just like that. You can actually shift as well. And then putting the other foot on the ground, switching. this stretch doesn't work for you, you can also do a standing calf stretch like we usually do with your foot against the wall. And then you're shifting back into a plank and back into downward dog. Do some paddling of your feet here. And great work. So let's sit back into child's pose here for a moment. Just take a few deep breaths. All right. So, as you are ready, go ahead and alternating sides, just like this. Again, keeping that core engaged. So we'll just alternate back and forth until the timer goes off. Glute bridges, you have a couple options. You can do just a regular glute bridges, or you can make them a little harder by putting your feet on like a foam roller or even like a yoga block. It's up to you. So I'm going to show you both. So first and foremost, you are making sure your core is engaged. So you're pulling your ribs and your hips together so that your back is not arched. So you don't want to be like this. You want to pull your core together, engage your core. Arms are at your side. You're pressing through your heels, coming up, holding, and back down. So keeping that core engaged throughout, coming up, squeezing your glutes and hamstrings, and back down. If you want to make them harder, you can use either a set of yoga blocks, a set of books, or even like I'm going to do with this foam roller, and elevate your feet slightly. So same thing, you're engaging that core, driving up, holding, and coming back down. So most important thing is to keep that core engaged and drive through your glutes. Next up, we have YTAs. So for those YTAs, you can flip right over. We're going to do just like this. So I'm making a Y, T, A, squeezing my shoulders back. And then lastly, for a plank, you can do any plank variation that works for you. You can do elbow plank or on your hands. You can do either a kneeling plank or a full extension. You just want to make sure that you're keeping that core engaged. So when you're in that plank position, you don't want to let your hips drop to the floor or your low back arch. You're keeping that core engaged. Hands or elbows are under your shoulders, and you're maintaining the tension in your core. So that is our first circuit today. Like I said earlier, we are using the new wall clock today. So instead of me telling you, you'll hear a first beep for a 10-second warning, which I'll say, and then you'll hear another going off to let you know to start. So you'll see me start, and then we'll have 45 seconds, we'll rest, we'll do the next exercise. So we're going to start here in a second with bird dogs for 45 seconds. So I am starting the timer. So it is going to count down 10 seconds, and then we'll start. And go. Keep that core engaged. And rest. Great job. So learning this together. So it's going to count down from the initial one. You'll get 3 beeps, and then you'll go, and then it'll go off again at the end. So next off, we have the glute bridges. So if you're using a foam roller or some books, grab those. And we're going to start here in 10 seconds. My bad. Now we're going to start in 10 seconds. And go. And rest. Great job. Okay, so next up we have YTAs. So same thing. So to count down 10 seconds and then we will start. In 10 seconds. And go. And rest. Great job. So all we have left is that 45-second plank. So get ready. Figure out if you're going to do plank on your forearms or on your hands. And we are starting in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Go. And rest. Great job. Thank you for bearing with me as I learn how to use the new timer. Okay, so grab some water, and we are going to repeat that whole circuit here in about a minute. I would like to note that my socks have astronaut dogs on them, just in case anyone's wondering. You have another 30 seconds of rest, and then we are back at it with those bird dogs. All right. So So go ahead and get ready. I'm about to start the 10-second countdown. 10 seconds. And go. Make sure you're keeping your neck neutral. I don't know if you just saw me correct, but if you did, try to keep your head aligned with your body so that your neck stays in a neutral position while you are doing these. Keep your core engaged as well. And rest. So next up, you have those glute bridges. Remember, you can do them with your feet on the ground or on yoga blocks, books, or a foam roller to make them a little more difficult. Make sure you're keeping your core engaged regardless of what way you're doing them. And we are starting 10-second countdown now. And go. Make sure you're keeping your core engaged. And rest. So next up, we have those YTAs. And 10-second countdown. Remember, your head can rest on the ground. You're only moving your arms and shoulders. And rest for a second. Last but not least, we have our plank. So remember, you can do your hands or your forearms. You can also switch to a kneeling plank when you start to fatigue. 10-second countdown. And go. And grab some water. Great job. Okay, so I'm gonna get some water and then I'm gonna talk to you about Circuit 2 today. Circuit 2 consists of squats, push-ups, both a little bit of a variation today, dead bugs, and a wall sit. So, let me preemptively move this. Okay, so we'll start with the squats. So this is where that sturdy chair might come in for some of you. So if you feel like when you're squatting, you worry about your balance or falling backwards, put something behind you, chair, something starting up for you to sit on. So you are making sure your core is engaged, your feet are at least hip width apart, and possibly wider depending on how tall you are. Engaging your core, sitting back into your hips, knees are coming forward, and then coming up. So I'm going to step forward, come to the side so you can see. So core engaged, chest up, sitting back, knees come forward, and then back up. So if you feel like your calves are tight or when you're squatting, you're like leaning really far forward, one thing to try to think about is you can elevate your heels. So if you have a set of books that are roughly the same height, you can put them under your heels. I'm going to use this pipe here. So as you can see, my heels are elevated, still same thing, and then coming back up. So that can be helpful if you feel like you're leaning really far forward. You can also squat to a bench. So turn to the side. So you feel like you're going to fall backwards, squat to the bench, you lose your balance, you just sit down, engage your core, sit back up. So either one of those is fine. You can even elevate your heels and squat to something if that feels best for you. All right. So push-ups. Oh, and one other thing with the squats, try to make sure you're putting your weight evenly into the front and the heel of your foot. You don't want to squat on your toes. It's going to be all quad. It's going to be really tiring. So try to make sure you're putting your weight evenly through your foot. So distribute that weight evenly. Push-ups. So multiple ways to do push-ups. So obviously you can do them in full extension, like so. Coming down, driving through your chest, keeping that core engaged. Or you can do them kneeling, same thing, pressing through your chest. You want to keep those arms out at about a 45-degree angle. You don't want them super high up. You don't want them super close. You want them right in the middle. And you're ideally keeping your shoulder blades down and back, and you're pressing from your chest. So if you want to add a little bit of a challenge, you can do these this way, kneeling or in full extension. I'm going to show you from two different angles. So you can take your book or your yoga block. You're going to start with one hand on that book or yoga block, just like this. You're coming down into a push-up, up, walking your hand over, switching sides, and back down. So that's me showing how it would look kneeling. So if you want to do this in full extension, same thing. You're starting here, coming down, pressing up, walking your hand over, same thing, and walking that hand over. So you can do that either kneeling or full extension. You can also do these on a wall where you are starting here, walking the hand over like this. So if you don't feel like the ground options are accessible, try it on a wall. Third, we have dead bugs. So dead bugs, you are laying on your back, arms and legs up, extending opposite arm, opposite leg down, keeping your core engaged. So you don't want to let your back arch. You're keeping that core engaged. So even as you extend, you're keeping that core locked in. If you feel like it's hard to coordinate your arms and legs together, you can do opposite hand to opposite knee and just do one side at a time. Or you can do hands on the ground, opposite leg, or just alternating legs. Excuse me. So either of those are fine. You can modify them as you need to. And then last but not least, we have a wall sit. So if this, there's a couple options for this as well. So you can do a squat where you are hovering. So you can squat like over a chair or something if the wall sit is not accessible. And then when you get tired, you just sit down. Or you can do the traditional wall sit. Your back is against the wall, well raised so that your knees are at a 90-degree angle, engaging your core, and then holding. So you can take breaks as you need, come back up. Either of those are fine. If neither of those options work for you, you can also do, you can just do more squats if you want, or you can do seated high knees, where you are crossing like this, tapping out to the knee. So any of those are fine. So we're going to start round 2. We're starting with squats. I am giving everyone a 10-second warning now, and then we are squatting. In 10 seconds. And go. And rest. So grab your book or head on over to the wall if you want to do those on the wall. And we're going to do our push-ups. So here's your 10-second warning. And rest. Whew, great job. Okay. So next up, dead bugs. 10-second warning. Remember, keep that core engaged. And last but not least, we have our wall sit. If you can't do the full 45 seconds for the wall sit, don't stress about it. Just hold as long as you can. Rest, and if you want to hold again, you can. All right, so 10-second warning. And go. Great job. Remember, rest if you need to. Ten seconds. and rest. Grab some water. So we're going to go through that whole round one more time, and then we just have some core. And remember, anything that you did during that round that felt really difficult towards the end, feel free to modify this round. So, for example, if you're doing the push-ups where you're switching hands on the block or on a yoga block or a book, and they felt really hard in full extension, switch to kneeling, or maybe switch to trying them on a wall where you're here, you're switching, walking the hand over, switching, just like that. So you can always change things to make them harder or easier for yourself, especially as you start to fatigue during this. So a few more seconds of rest. Then we're back to those squats. I personally am going to elevate my heels this time because my calves are tight. All right. So 10-second countdown. And go. And rest. So we have those push-ups next. Remember, you can also do just regular push-ups if you want. So again, adjust these to your body's needs. All right. 10-second warning. Whew. Those are hard. Great job. Okay, so dead bugs. 10-second warning. And last but not least, We have that wall sit. Whew. Remember, rest as you need. 10-second countdown. Fifteen seconds. Five, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Grab a sip of water. We have 3 more things left today. Okay. So we are starting with some good old leg raises. So laying on your back, hands are under your butt, legs are starting up, slowly lowering down and back up. So same as with the dead bugs, you want to keep that core engaged so your back isn't arching as you come down. If both legs at once feels too difficult, same thing, hands under your butt, but instead lower one leg at a time, just like this. So we're doing this at 15 reps. Ready, and go. And rest. Next up, we do a set of Russian twists. So for these, you are leaning slightly back, starting here with your legs bent, leaning slightly back, rotating to each side. If that feels too easy, you can lift your legs. It might be easier to cross them and switch halfway. And then we're going to do a set of 30 total, or 15 per side. So ready, and go. And rest. Whew. And last but not least, we're going to do a set of 20 toe touch crunches. So you are laying on your back with your legs extended straight up, and you are crunching towards your toes for 20 reps, and then we are done for today. So when you are ready, and go. and rest. Whew. Great job. So that is all I have for you today. Thanks for bearing with me as I figured out how the timer would work in a class setting. If you have any thoughts or feedback, feel free to leave it in the comments. As always, I am Alex Weaver. I am coach and owner of Alien Athletes. Thank you to Thunder Mist for sponsoring this class, and thank you all for coming to this class. Our next class is next Monday, same time, same place, 6 p.m. And I don't think there are any holidays coming up anytime soon. So it should be every Monday for at least the rest of the month. I don't think anything else falls on a Monday. So I hope everyone has a good week. Thank you all for coming today. And I will see you next Monday, same time.